This is what I've been doing in my class since the very first class back in January. And we actually talked about it some because Katie found Edulastic, and after some conversation we thought, this might be a good place to start with some common assessments, because we're getting there, but this would put them all in one place and all digital, and anybody that came in new would just be able to log in and find everything that they need. So, oh, I gotcha. Excuse me. The first thing I had to create was the foundation, which is everything about our school, about our district. I'm not going to read to you guys. You kind of know what was here. This was based on last year's data, the 2021-22. The foundation was, Nicole actually helped me some with it, with some of her data, but it was everything about our district, mission, vision statement, any other piece of information that we could include. And then these were the pieces of data that I used. And if you have never looked at the comprehensive improvement plan of the school and the district, I encourage you to do so. There's a lot of stuff in there. And it requires, I'm certain, that could probably tell us hours and hours and hours of work. But some of the things that I pulled were from our specific school, was that all assignments, assessments, and learning activities needed to be congruent to the standards, which I think we do that, and needs to be taught and will reflect the depth of the standard. Inside of Edulastic, there is an option where you choose the standard, and then you choose the depth of knowledge question, whether it be multiple choice, whether it's short answer, essay, whatever you might want it to be. You can make one assessment and have every depth of knowledge part covered for each standard. And then the district had, teachers must be able to use assessment to determine whether or not a student is internalizing and assimilating the standards to the mastery level. So if we're asking the right questions, choosing the different depths of knowledge, then this will take care of that. Students are internalizing and assimilating. It's kind of like with our vocabulary quiz, we don't give them a matching quiz. You know, anybody could do that, but you have to get them to use the vocabulary word. So by having teachers have quick access to these assessments and standards, that would make it easier. The school report card, which everybody probably has seen this. This is where all of our K-Prep data is, and something that we noticed, and I met with Pam and Heather both to talk about this, were kind of stagnant math scores over a few years in a row. Discrepancy, I know this was a big thing she talked about. Gosh, it's probably been with COVID maybe 2-3 years ago, but the discrepancy between the number of proficient distinguished students in 3rd grade and into 4th grade and then to 5th grade, and how that changes, and then the decline in the scores the last 3 years. And this data also was 19-20, it might have even been 18-19 data, because I don't think we tested in 20. 21 was modified, so last year was the first full K-Prep, it's not K-Prep anymore, but test that we had taken in 3 years. So we don't have any up-to-date data. And then Heather sent me the professional development survey, and through my classes, a lot of people don't do this. A lot of people don't get any say in what they're going to be learning through professional development. So that's something that's been really nice for us, is that we can talk about what we like, what we don't want. Of this, and again, this was from data from 2 years ago, was closing academic gaps, assistance in math instruction, and the standards-based assessments. So I really like how we did professional development at the beginning of the year. I loved that PD day where you got your choices and you could do something that was relevant to you and job embedded, and okay, this is what I do in my job, so let's learn about this. The project description is, there will be creation of an assessment committee, and I know Pam talked about that close to the beginning of the year. We are going to get there, where we have an assessment committee. We will have common standards-based assessments. We're going to use the Edulastic software, and we'll start with math. At the moment is where we're kind of headed. It has stalled where we're looking for new curriculum. So There's reading options there too, so if one of us wants to, or when we get some extra time, we can go in there and start creating common reading assessments through the same software program. And then it will track data for teachers, and I think I need to get better at having my students track data. I actually found today, and I downloaded it's just a reading standards checklist. And so last week we tested story elements, so I'm gonna have them mark in there what their score was for story elements so they can see growth. And then the goal is to streamline instruction and enhance student achievement. You guys have all heard the chalk and the chalk stuff and training and curriculum mapping. The idea is that the link to each one of these assessments will be placed right into that curriculum map in chalk. So whenever we come to pull up a standard, all we have to do is click that and our assessment's already created. So hopefully, and I really think what we're doing so far this year is going to fit nicely with chalk, where we're all staying in the same lane and doing the same things. It's gonna make that curriculum map creation much simpler, in my mind at least, than it was at the end of last year. I was kind of like, oh wow. But I think where we're streamlining is gonna be even better. Okay, these are the objectives. The first objectives, and the wording is kind of weird, but the leading indicator is, it's basically what we're going to do, and the lagging indicator is how we're going to do it. So that's the terminology. The first objective is that the school curriculum and accompanying assessments adhere to state and district standards. So it's basically what we're just talking about, just in language form. This is a standard for, now I can't think of the word, high something schools. I'll have to look it up on the book, but, and then our goal is that 100% of math assessments will be aligned with current standard. So this would be your leading indicator, and then this would be your lagging indicator. Then data is analyzed and interpreted, which we talked about that, and here's the goal. This one on the bottom I want to talk about specifically. The most recent K-Prep test data, 57% demonstrates proficiency in math for 5th grade. The goal, and this was for, I put it for 22-23 testing, I need to update that in this presentation too, has been pushed to 23-24 so that we get a full year non-COVID stuff, and I think that's going to be a more accurate picture. And then 60% and then 65% for the following year, which would be huge. If we could get it to the 60, I think we'd be thrilled. So, but by having this available and the common curriculum map that everybody's going to be using, it will help. This was the original timeline of activities. If you'll see, a good bit of this was already supposed to happen. It didn't happen, but that's okay. So Edulastic training. So we're going to start with the assessment committee, train them. I'm hoping either SACs or grade level representatives from each grade will be on that committee so that we can all work together and learn how to use the Edulastic program. It's going to actually take 2 different trainings, because if you'll see here, this training would be for the entire faculty. Where do I find the test? How do I modify it if I need it modified? Once I've done it, how do I find the data? And the data, again, is broken down by question and depth of knowledge. So if we see a pattern that all of the extended response answers are terrible, but they have the short answer and the multiple choice, well, we know may not be content so much we need to focus on as how to write an extended response question. So assessment creation is getting there. I have about half of the math standards done and already in Edulastic. So I'm hoping by the end of this school year at least to have that one finished. And then teachers and students track data for the entire school year. We have a mid-year progress check, and kind of like we did simple solutions data, where you bring your data, you check and see what's working, what's not, and then what you can do to change it. And then end of year update, which I will have to give to, my plan is to give it to site-based at least, probably something to the board just as a result of this project. And then testing analysis, we can't do that until we get testing data back. So, and then here's the same slide, just with some updates and everything. Really pushed forward almost a whole year from where we wanted to be. twofold professional development training. The first is creating the assessments, and then I'm gonna have the 5th grade done hopefully, and then I'll be able to help the 3rd and 4th. And then the second one would be for all who have to administer the assessments. So basically all of your classroom teachers, special ed teachers even. I'm not sure how essential arts teachers might not fit in there, but if they did, then they would certainly need to come and do this training also. And then here are the project goals, all assessments created. All the teachers are going to be using these assessments, because why else create them if we're not going to use them? And then all teachers and students will track their data. And then the results will be shared and analyzed, obviously grade level, I would assume building level, and with the Board of Education. And then students would have something quick and easy to show their parents, hey, here's how I'm doing. So our next steps, which they're very slow steps right now, but we will get there, is to train for creating the assessments, then train for administering assessments and data tracking. So that is my project. That's what I've been doing for the last year. But I'm at the end, so thank goodness. I think that's the last slide. You guys have any questions? We want to thank Katie for finding the Intelastic.
I would love to have a copy of your check sheet for my kiddos.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I just
Yep.
put down, having a common student assessment tracker that we all
Yes.
could use, so no matter.
I
who's
don't
writing
do
them
that
or
enough
not.
with my kids, really, for anything. You know, maybe AR data or something like that, but I think we need to do it for the standards.
Yeah, I love the idea of that, really
So-
getting them involved and
Well,
knowing
and
specifically what